What's up, cheeseheads? Before we get into today's podcast, we wanted to tell you about what Ethan and I have been up to in 2022. Something very exciting. It's a new product that we have launched for employee engagement called the Pool Boys. Tell them what's up.
That's right. So right here, as you can see, the Pool Boys, what we want to do is create an awesome environment for your office pools. So we're going to come in, we're going to run everything for small business owners, large business owners, basically business owners, where we want to come in, provide an awesome red carpet experience where we up the engagement, up the fun by running your office pools, whether it be March Madness. We got some fun fall offerings, whether it be college football pick'em, NFL pick'em, Survivor. We got you covered no matter what the pool is. We are your boys for it. So let's get going.
That's right. This is an employee engagement play. If you're having any trouble at all with retention or engagement or even internal communication, let the Pool Boys take a look and show you some of the products that we can offer. We shoot customized videos with these handsome fellas, and we send them to your team, and we talk trash about your people. It's so much fun. I got to tell you.
We build you up too. Don't worry. It's not just trash, but there is a lot of trash.
There is some trash. All right, guys, check us out at www.thepoolboys.net, and we're going to get into the episode now. Welcome back to Fold in the Cheese. It's your boy K Troll on the mic today. It's Tuesday. We got some on campus today. On campus. I'm joined as always by my main man, Ethan Gelfand. What is happening?
Don't try and change the theme song. You tried to make like okay, like no. It's on campus.
If we did like a country duo, I'd be like that raspy, manly voice, and you'd come in with the falsettos, lady killer falsettos.
Or it's like the Temptations. Who there's that one guy who's just like.
That's right, Melvin. Yeah, Melvin's always going deep. That's right. Yes, so there you go. We're basically the Temptations.
Basically. Oh God, what an insult to the Temptations.
A very good made-for-TV movie, though.
Really?
Acting maybe not as great as you'd want it to be, but the story's fantastic, and you can't get too much David Ruffin. So,
was it on Lifetime? I mean, I feel like Lifetime always does those.
Lifetime is a
full
pretty clutch.
Story.
Yeah. Lifetime's pretty clutch for a movie like that. I think it came out like cable TV when we were younger. We were like middle school, high school age. I want to say like NBC or something dropped it, and I remember watching it with my dad a bunch, and we loved it. It's good stuff. Yeah.
See, I was unfortunate enough to have cable growing up. I didn't get cable TV until I was a junior in high school. So. That was kind of rough. That's why I always loved going to friends' houses. Like, can we just watch TV?
Can we hang out, please, all the time?
I just want to watch whatever it can be because I only have 5 channels at home. Or going to my grandma's house because she always had cable. So that was always the best. You go to the opposing team's place to get the best TV. So that was me.
I feel really sad for you on that.
You should, because like I didn't get Legends of the Hidden Temple. I would always get if I'm visiting family or friends, that's
Double Dare, none of that?
Nope. Although, so you remember like Double Dare would actually have those like traveling shows?
Oh, yeah.
So I actually went to one. I think it must have been in Boston because I was definitely not in high school or anything. I might have been in middle school. And actually got called up on the stage with my mom.
Of course you did. That's well, she wanted to do Amazing Race. Like that's the kind of thing your mom does. Like she finds her way into those sort of situations.
Yeah.
How did you even know what it was though? You'd never even seen Double Dare.
Well, no, when I go to people's houses, that's the time I shine. And I get to see these things.
So you came home and said, Mom, there's a show called Double Dare. We should go to a live taping in Boston and see if we can get on it.
So, yeah.
Well, did you participate then? You were like a contestant?
Yeah, we got to go up on stage. And again, it wasn't like a taping of the show. It's like, you know how they'll have traveling versions of it? They'll just come to different cities and do like a stage show.
Okay, gotcha.
It's still the same concept, but just not the actual TV show. They actually had one at Penn State. They did like a traveling Price is Right, which was awesome. So it was like the same thing, but didn't get called up there. But I did get called up with my mom for Double Dare, the traveling show. And I think so. It was weird. So we were paired with another twosome. So it was like 4v4 versus a team of 4.
Yeah.
And we had there were these giant water balloons. And then one of the teammates was sitting in a giant high chair as like a baby.
And you had to throw it up there.
Balloons and you had like the food. And you had to get the water balloons up there, and he had to catch it in like a bucket, and then whoever's bucket was filled with water or the balloons
Yeah.
themselves like, won.
Dude, I was actually going to guess not exactly that, but something very similar, which is like, did you throw water balloons at someone who had a spike on their helmet and
He has a
they had to knock
powerful-
out the water balloons and then the water would fall into a bucket and then it would go up to a level?
It's pretty dang close.
Pretty
So
much the
yes,
same thing. Did
pretty
you
much.
get to do the physical challenges where you got to stick your hand up the big giant nose and try and find the flag?
Unfortunately, so that was the thing. So it was like you did these first challenges, and then if you won it, then you moved on to the big. It was like an obstacle course where yes,
Yeah.
someone has the hand up the nose. So
Yeah.
we were doing it. I was not very strong as a child, so like I would be trying to
Shocker.
throw the water because these were like big water balloons. I couldn't. I don't think
I
I even
couldn't
got
throw
one
the
all
water
the way up to the
balloons.
top of the high chair. It's pretty sad.
Poor
So we
little
did not
baby
win that
Ethan.
challenge. So we did not move on to the final big
You
obstacle
didn't
course.
make it to the final challenge. Was there a
No.
giant nose with slime in it?
I honestly feel like there was. There
And then there
had
has to
to
be
have
like
been,
after that, there has to be a little treadmill they have to climb up and try
right?
and get the flag at the
So
top of
going,
that. But they're covered in slime and they're trying to get it. There's like a
no,
big
it's
cake or a pizza that you have to dig into and get the
yeah.
flag.
Find the flags. Of course, you got to wear your safety helmet because I'm sure that did a lot when you're
Oh, and
shoving your
elbow
hands up everywhere.
pads and everything. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we did not make it to that round. But
Did you get slimed at all?
no, that because that was the final round. This was just the
There was
water.
no
I feel like
opportunity for slime otherwise.
no, because I feel like the water was this slime. Like, oh, they're getting so wet. But that was the extent of my double dare challenge.
That is spectacular. We need to host a double dare challenge somehow. I'm sure you can. I'm sure there's like a package you can buy to have people show up with all this stuff. And
Oh, there were always those games where it's like, oh, bring double dare home. It's like
that's not the same. That's
it's
not the
not
same.
good.
No, I want legit. I want that nose, and I want the flags and slime. I want it all.
Interesting project. So that'd be a big ass paper mache nose that we'd have to get our kids. School just went back to school. Talk to the art teachers. Okay, year-long project.
Year-long project, the double dare nose, or
all
the
the
mountain and
teachers would
guts.
know.
Either one.
Or what?
The mountain and guts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either the aggro crag.
Aggro crag.
Either the aggro crag or the nose from Double Dare.
Well, it's funny over the summer. So kids, we like to have fun family shows or whatnot, and so we went back, and so we started watching Legends of the Hidden Temple because I was like, first of all, I need to catch up. I've only seen a
I've only
handful.
seen like 5 episodes sparingly.
Right?
Yeah.
So they like that one a lot. We did Guts. I'm trying to think. There had to be one more. Wasn't there in like that whole era? It was like Hidden Temple, Guts,
Did
and
you
well, I
watch
guess Double Dare.
American Gladiators? Because that's what I used to watch that on repeat when I
That
was a
was a great
kid.
show.
Yeah.
Blazer. I mean, Laser.
You got names like Blaze and Laser and Blazer and all kinds of shit.
So yes, we did do a marathon of old kid game shows, which was do you remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, supposedly our good friend from school, Josh Reifschneider, was on an episode.
We got to find the episode. We need to know. Maybe he's on IMDb. We should check.
As a game show contestant, do you get on IMDb?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, sorry. Another real fun fact.
You should put yourself on IMDb for being at the Double Dare traveling show episode. Just make it up. 47.
So, okay, sorry. I have another side story. I just had to go because IMDb. So, when I was working at Penn State, one of our assistant coaches was named, or currently is, she's still with us, is Toro Coleman. And she was a all-star when she played. She played at Clemson. She made it to the league, and she was great. So, do you remember the movie Joanna Man?
Yeah.
So, they were casting, they needed Joanna's teammates.
Yeah.
And Toro Coleman got cast as one of Joanna Man's teammates. And she has 1 or 2 lines in the movie. So she is super embarrassed by it. So Toro, if you're listening and watching, I'm sorry, but it is spectacular. And she is listed in IMDb, and she is actually part of the Screen Actors Guild because of it.
I think you get benefits for life for that.
I don't know about the benefits, but I know she had to pay to be in it. So.
Yeah, she's set forever. She can retire.
So SAG member herself.
SAG member. Well, listen, she was good enough and looked the part enough to be cast as a professional or semi-pro basketball player in a movie. So
she can still lace them up.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's mad respect. Mad respect.
Toro Coleman. IMDb-er.
IMDb. Do it. All right. So today we are going to cover our rankings.
Yes.
This is an exciting episode because not only do you get to see the disparity between our picks, but we also get to put together some do it bets.
Do it.
Do it. Bacardi and Cola. Do it.
And yes, I have to lean up to the mic. Now that we have video, it kind of looks a little more awkward, but do it.
This is how we always do it. This is how we always do it. This is how we always do it.
Do it.
So we're going to cover some NFL news first, and then we'll get into our positional rankings. The big news that dropped like as soon as we got done with our podcast on Thursday was the Deshaun Watson suspension has been moved to 11 games. I think, in my opinion, that makes him undraftable. I don't see any reason to hang on to a guy for that long.
For 6 games at the end.
And you don't even know what you're going to get. He hasn't played in 2 years. So, like, and the Browns suck. So, I don't know. Not interested. Baker Mayfield has officially been named the starter in Carolina.
Everyone's surprised.
Which is exciting. That was really dumb. And it looks like the Raiders are going to move on from Kenyon Drake, which I think is not big news because you were going to necessarily play Kenyon Drake, although he did have some value last year.
He did. He would have flashes last year. It's like, damn it. Like, if you're Josh Jacobs owner, like, son of a bitch, it's a Kenyon Drake game.
Yeah, I know. I think it says a couple things to me. Number one, they feel good enough about what they have elsewhere. Yeah. And number two, new coaching regime, they get to pick their guys. So that while on the one hand, it makes me more comfortable in Josh Jacobs because you don't have Kenyon Drake stealing from him. On the other hand, you've already seen some Zamir White in the preseason. Makes me a little bit nervous for Josh Jacobs. Like, do you think that if they're willing to just call their own shots and just be like, nah, we don't want Kenyon Drake. We want Zamir White to fill that role, maybe. Maybe we want Zamir White to take over more work. I don't know. I would be a little bit nervous on that.
It was kind of interesting because obviously the offense McDaniels runs, he likes to have that third down catching back, and that was more of Kenyon Drake's role. He was that guy. So it's interesting to kind of see him leave. I'll just always remember freaking Kenyon Drake from when the Patriots were playing the Dolphins.
And Gronk tried to tackle him.
Why would I know you have him as like your deep safety in case of a Hail Mary, but like what?
I just feel like that was Gronk being like, hey, let me get out there. Let me get out there. Let me go. I promise, Coach. I swear to you, I'll catch it.
This up.
I will catch it.
I will catch it. Oh, God. That was bad. That ended up costing the Patriots some good playoff position.
It cost them a 1 seed or something. They knocked in positioning. They ended up getting a road game or something. I don't know.
We always lose in Miami.
First week of the season, they're at Miami, and I'm like,
and guess what? We lost to Miami last year.
I'm not falling for that trap. I'm excited to see what the new Dolphins look like too.
Yeah, yikes.
So the other news, I thought it's not. I don't even know if it's really news, but if you look hard enough, you can find it. There's something weird going on in Washington. Antonio Gibson, he's fumbled in the preseason again. He had 6 fumbles last year. And Brian Robinson got the start in the last preseason game, and Antonio Gibson was fielding punts. So, I know it sounds like, oh, you're in the doghouse. That's punishment. He's their guy. But stuff that I'm reading and stuff that I'm hearing is, no, that's not just punishment. This could be more than that. And that is actually really substantial.
Is there any player that's fallen farther than Antonio Gibson from the beginning of preseason last season?
Preseason last season, he was hype. Christian McCaffrey 2.0.
Yes.
And right now he is
much hype about him. Saying
not going to even start.
McLaurin and Gibson are your 2 guys you're going to want to draft high. Everyone's going to want them. They're going to be studs. And Gibson, man, just like last week. He went.
Where on the slide flute would that be? Is that far away from you or?
It's because the farther away is the down. Or I don't know. It's down. It's just whoop.
He's going down. Yeah. So I got to tell you, I think this is really substantial. I don't know the exact plan of action from a drafting perspective. I will tell you, I did pick up Brian Robinson in the 14th round of a draft last night, and
good value.
Yeah, I sort of was like, it's a dart throw, but I did know that I'm out on Gibson in general. I had him last year.
You drafted him last year. You should be out on him.
I'm out on him. So I was already out on him, and I thought maybe everyone else would be. And then, of course, the fumbles and all that stuff. And then I started reading it after the draft. It was actually after the draft. I was like, I opened up Brian Robinson's page, and it's like, it looks like he's the presumed starter. And I was like, whoa, hang on, what? I knew they benched him for that preseason game, but I didn't think that was a big deal. I didn't realize he had 6 fumbles last year.
I may have to change my rankings a little bit.
You had Antonio Gibson as number 3 running back.
4 on my board.
Nope, you're stuck. Do it. Antonio Gibson versus Christian McCaffrey. Do it. So I don't know. I would see. I think you're going to see Brian Robinson shooting up the draft boards.
Okay.
We'll see what happens this next preseason game, but it'll be interesting.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of rankings, should we talk? So we did our positional rankings for this episode. So we obviously got quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. We are not doing kickers and defenses. Come on, get out of here with that.
Get out of here.
So how you want to do this? You want to do? We list our top 10 at each position, and then you go from there. What do you think?
Yeah, let's start off with that because I think there are a lot of guys that are kind of more middle ranked that we have like pretty different. I think we want to talk about. Yeah, bigger disparities, but our top 10s are mostly the same. They're in different orders, but they're mostly the same. There's two guys, honestly. There's one quarterback and one tight end that we don't have the same in the top 10. Otherwise, pretty much the same. So I'll start with quarterback, and then we'll hear yours as well. In this order, I've got, starting 1 to 10, I've got Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson at 5. That's one we have different. Jalen Hurts, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. And I will say honorable mention, I've got Trey Lance at 11, which is really high comparatively.
Honorable mention? Get out of here with honorable mentions.
What?
Oh, I'll just throw an 11. They're doing 10. Hey, guess
this
what?
This one goes up to 11.
Here's my 11.
This one goes up to 11.
I was actually surprised you put Brady as high as you did, and you dropped your boy Dak down. But as we talked about, he did lose some weapons. So
yeah, I think losing Amari Hurts and Gallup being out a couple weeks at the beginning of the season, I think they're going to focus more on the running backs with healthier Zeke this year. I think Dak will be totally fine. I would feel totally confident if I walked out of a draft with him as my quarterback. I really would. No concern whatsoever. There's so many of them this year. I think there's so many good options.
Okay, fair. So our top 4 were the same: Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patty Mahomes, Lamar, and then I went actually with your boy Jalen Hurts at 5, who I hadn't been as high on last season. I wasn't, but he's been showing he can. 6 I had Kyler, 7 I had Dak, 8 Brady, 9 Burrow, 10 Stafford. So that was kind of.
And you had Russell Wilson at 11. Honorable mention.
Russell Wilson at 11.
Well, I wanted to mention Russell Wilson because I have him at 5 and you have him at 11. So
it's funny because how I would, when I'm doing my rankings, I like to just kind of visualize it, and I go by division. And so I'm like, okay, AFC East. And so then I'll start.
Always start with the AFC East, of course, the number 1 division, right?
Why wouldn't? That's how everyone should start. And so I just kind of work my way and then have my list. And so then I'll be like, oh crap, I forgot about this. And I got to figure out where I'm sliding him back on the scale. So Russell was kind of one of those guys. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah. And he was honestly, for me, the hardest to place within the honorable mention of 11. At one point I did have him at 5, but then I dropped into 11. It was just hard for me, at least on my side, to get him on that scale.
I had trouble with a couple of guys. He was one of them because, you're a new team, right? You don't know what you're going to get. But I just think he's got so many weapons, and I think it's a good situation.
He didn't look great in the second half. I know he's still banged up.
Yeah, he did. He was balling out in Seattle every year. He's like a
I'm saying
top 5 quarterback.
Last season.
He broke his thumb last season. He rushed back. He came back way too early. Couldn't throw the ball. Literally couldn't throw the ball. And then when he was healthy, he was fine, you know? But he's a top 5er every year. That's the thing. I like his weapons a lot. Running backs too. I think we mentioned this earlier. His running back's the best he's ever had, other than Marshawn. No disrespect to beast mode. But I had trouble with him. I had trouble with Derek Carr, who I put at 15. You put at 12. I had trouble with Tua. Because we're trying to figure out I want to be all in on this, but I still haven't totally seen it from a fantasy perspective. So those were guys I had a lot of trouble with this year.
Okay.
Want to move on to running backs?
What do you think?
Let's do it. Tell me yours first this time.
Okay, running backs. I got JT number 1, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, Leonard Fournette, and Alvin Kamara.
Okay. I've got the same 10 guys in different order, but I'm starting with Jonathan Taylor as well. CMC at number 2. I'm going Derrick Henry at 3. I think he'll be healthy and well. I've got Dalvin all the way up at 4, which I know exactly why you didn't put him that high.
No.
But from a talent standpoint and production, whenever he's healthy, he's a total stud. I got Najee at 5, Eckler at 6, Mixon 7, DeAndre Swift 8, Kamara, and then Fournette. So I have Kamara, Fournette flipped as well. But mostly the same. Same name certainly, and mostly the same order.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to come down to health. Honestly, that's usually what it is. So Dalvin has never. I think he's never played a full season, so it's probably not a great move on my part. But I don't know. I worry a little bit about Eckler just from I know size is. We talk about that a lot with running backs, and it may not be fair because he was mostly healthy last year, but he's prone to miss some games too.
He
So
is
we'll see.
prone, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, he was healthy. But no, he's prone. But I just like him. I just love his versatility. I mean, especially the Chargers on offense this year are just going to be stacked, which
They
they
are
were
stacks.
last year. So
God, that's so true.
I think he could be one of the main cogs for that. So, but that's just me. The only thing, I mean, don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry is a freaking cyborg. Uh, their offense is going to take a slight step back, but which then means he will be more of a focal point. So it's a toss up.
Yeah. So the question with him is always like, is a stacked box going to matter? You know, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The way he runs, he wears people down, and usually it's second half, he starts to take off. It doesn't matter if you put all 11 guys in the front line, he's going to get through there.
Right.
The other thing I will say about him though, and we saw this some last year, is he started catching more passes.
He did.
He had like career highs and targets and receptions in just those like 8 games, and so he's really on pace to get, maybe it's like 3 targets a game or so.
Which
That's a lot more than he had gotten previously. I mean, he literally was like 8 targets all season kind of guy,
yeah,
and now we're looking at potentially like 40 to 50 targets. That could be pretty substantial.
that'd be big for him.
And I think it'd be healthy enough because he did come back. I feel the same way. Like we can talk about him later, but I feel the same way about Cam Akers. He came back for the playoffs. You got to see him in action, so he's capable of playing. He got to test out his foot. He's fine after the season, so he just had all off season to heal. I think it'll be fine.
Okay, fair.
Let's move on to receivers. My top 10: Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams at 5, Debo 6, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, CD Lamb. It was sad for me to see CD drop down to 10 because I was so high on him last year. He burned me, man.
I was surprised when you put him at 10. We were actually pretty much on par here because I had Kupp, Jefferson, Chase, Diggs, Devontae Adams, so the same top 5. We flipped Debo and Tyreek.
Yep.
And then Evans, Keenan Allen, and Lamb. So
almost the exact same. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are, I mean, I feel like those are pretty given that, these are your 10 guys.
10 to 20 gets really interesting.
It does.
Because you and I have a lot of differences, but also I just think that's a lot harder to tell. Because I think what happens with 10 to 20 is there are guys who we feel like could be top 10. And that's where people have different opinions on who could be top 10.
Right. Know? Very true. Very true. Okay, moving on to the most heated and contested tight ends. Such the depth of TE. So I went with Mark Andrews 1, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz, Mike Gesicki, and Cole Kmet.
Okay.
For your boy, Justin Fields.
My boy, Justin Fields. You know it. I've got Kelce 1, Andrews 2, Pitts 3, which is a little higher than you. Kittle and then Waller, Hawkinson, Schultz, Goddard. I've got Dawson Knox at 9 and Zach Ertz at 10. You've got Ertz at 11, so you're right there with me. You jumped Gesicki up there and Cole Kmet. I've also got Kmet at 14, so I'm pretty high on him too. But Gesicki is one that I was not as high on this year. Too many other options, in my opinion.
Sure.
In Miami, but he has proven as a PPR, at least he's proven to be pretty studly.
Yeah, I just feel like the past couple of years he's been consistent. He's been a good target for Tua, and obviously I know they just completely reloaded their offense, but I don't know. I feel like there's that consistency there a little bit, and just a good red zone target. So I like him. And again, I'm always partial to when I got to see them in college. Just like I know you were a little bit, especially with your brother and Drew Brees. So when I got to see him at Penn State, like he was a beast, and he was just fun to watch. And he's another one I just like to watch.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, we've got our full rankings. They're going to be available. The link will be in the show notes if you want to check those out. We've highlighted green and red for players that one of us is higher on than the other pretty substantially. So you'll see a fair amount of green and red in there. We do make up our rankings.
See a fair amount of green and red.
Yeah, I mean, we make up our own rankings. We're not just going carbon copy of whatever the other sites have. So these are how we feel about the players and the situations that they're in. And so there's some pretty big differences we're going to get to here in the next few minutes as well.
Yes. So speaking of those differences, what we're going to do now is kind of give you a few players where we were kind of way off on, and then kind of talk about why. So let's start off with quarterbacks, Kemp.
Let's jump right in. All right, we had 4 quarterbacks that I think were at least noteworthy on how different we had them ranked. We talked about him briefly with Russell Wilson. I
Yep.
mentioned Trey Lance as an honorable mention, number 11 for me.
Honorable mention.
And you like him too at 15. That's not that far off.
Right, it's not that far.
Jared Goff, hometown boy for you. You're going with 18. I got him at 24. And Trevor Lawrence, I've got 19, and you've got him at 25. So tell me your hesitation again on Russell Wilson here. New system. Is it just that simple?
Yeah, honestly, it's the new system, and I mean, he's not that old, but obviously he's getting older.
Oh,
And
come
I
on.
know he was hurt. I know he was banged up last season,
Where do
but
you got
I
Tom
just
Brady? Where you got Tom Brady?
Tom, he's just such a physical specimen, that Tom Brady. He'll spit your water out as I say that. So I don't know. I just think there might be somewhat of a learning curve for him. And again, I just wasn't as loving what I saw at the end of last year. I know he rushed back with the messed up hand, but again, that's just my hesitation. And I'm not gonna lie, it was hard for me to place him. At one point, I did have him at 5. At one point, I had him at 30. No, I didn't. But it kept sliding. Basically, 11 was the lowest, his floor.
Yeah.
5 with his ceiling. So it just kept sliding.
Now I'm remembering it was mallet finger that he had. It wasn't his
Right.
thumb. It was
It
mallet
wasn't
finger
thumb.
because I remember with the same injury, we were injury buddies.
Yeah, you had this. We had the image. It was like,
yeah, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just think I think he's going to air it out. I know we talked about this in a previous episode about they've got these 2 stud running backs, and so they're definitely going to run the ball. But
Yep.
I'm just real high on Cortland Sutton. You are too. In our rankings, we're real high on him. I think Jerry Jeudy is really good too when he's healthy. And I think KJ Hamler, your old Penn State boy, is a stud too. So they just got a lot of good options. I think he's going to air it out. I really do. I just think
Let him cook.
he's going to be in a lot of shootouts too. I mean, that division is so stacked. Yeah. I also played into the fact like he's going to have to play the Chargers twice, the Chiefs twice, the Raiders twice. There'll be a lot of points in those games.
True.
And so whether they're playing from behind or just trying to keep up in general, I think he's going to air it out a lot personally. I think he's still got some floor with his legs. He can still run, so that kind of puts him above some of those pocket passers like Stafford. I don't know. I like this situation personally.
That's fair. I get it.
Trey Lance is a wild card, right? So we've only seen him for a few games last year, and he showed flashes of being pretty good. Still a rookie last year, and so you're not really sure if he's got the full playbook at his disposal. But he's got a big arm. He can run the ball pretty well, pretty effectively. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to catapult into that conversation as like a top tier quarterback this year. Also has weapons. I mean, geez, you got Debo. I like Ayuk, and of course Kittle is a stud. Right. So he's got weapons too, and their running backs are getting thinner. I like Elijah Moore a lot. Elijah Mitchell a lot, but they got rid of my man Mostert, who was such a stud, so good. He had 2 carries last year. So I don't know. I think Trey Lance, they want to. You see this sometimes. Number one, you see teams that want to kind of open it up because they just drafted a guy and they want to justify it. So they want to just open it up, let him go, and show everybody why they did it. They've been really confident letting Jimmy Garoppolo go, which tells me they're seeing something in Trey Lance that they really wanted to see, because Garoppolo is no slouch.
He's not. Yes, I'm sure they are seeing something in Trey Lance, but I think they also had to. Like, they just, at this point, you took the 3rd pick with Trey Lance, and you're not just going to sit him for how many years. So I think they had to. It's not like, yes, I'm sure they are seeing stuff, but at some point, like, nope, he's going to be playing. I don't care if he's not looking the best. He's in there. He's our guy. We put this investment with him. So,
yeah, I'm not saying that he's definitively beat out Garoppolo for the job necessarily, because I agree with you. Like, they've got the investment in there, but I do think, I think they obviously, like, they want to win. They've got a roster to win, right, and they've got a defense that's strong. And they're like, hey, we've got a window here, especially with a quarterback coming in his 2nd year in his contract. Teams, they go all in when they've got young quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna give him every opportunity to succeed. I hope he doesn't become like a game manager because of that, because they think they just need to win games like that.
I don't think that's his style anyway, though.
I think he's gonna air it out. I think he's gonna run the ball a lot. I'm expecting big things from him this year.
Okay, I mean, that's the thing. He could be. Some people saying they're going to take him to the Super Bowl this year. Others like, he's a little off.
Maybe, so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
it'll be fun to watch, just to say the least. It'll be interesting to see. So yeah, now I went with hometown Jared Goff. I put him a little higher than you, obviously, and I don't know, man. I just feel like second year with the Lions. I was really liking the offense the second half of the season. And I know this is still a sore subject for you, but Amon-Ra St. Brown was looking spectacular. I mean, the connection those two had. I was reading some stat that Jared Goff in the second half of the season was top 5 in yards passed and completions and stuff like that, or yardage, excuse me. So I don't know. There's just something about, I mean, again, it's not like I have him in the top 15. It's not like it's top 10 or anything. I put him at 18 that where, he'd be a solid backup. If one of your guys goes
Maybe a
down,
streamer. Yeah.
I think, he's a solid play. And I think he could have a big upside, especially if you have an Amon-Ra. That's a good little hookup to have on your squad.
So I don't disagree with you, actually, which is crazy because, like, I know our rankings are 6 positions off. I don't disagree with what you're saying. And I actually thought, like, including him in my top 25 was kind of an endorsement of him. I was like, hey, I think he's okay,
He's one of the top 32 quarterbacks.
Yeah, obviously I love Amon-Ra and Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift when he's healthy.
Right.
He's a great pass catcher too. So he's got a lot of options, a lot of weapons there too.
Williams coming in.
Jamal Williams is a great pass catcher out of the backfield too. Lots of weapons there. I think part of this is I actually think they might be more competitive this year. I hope they're more competitive this year. They may not just be getting blown out, garbage time, just chucking the ball, always in comeback mode.
They had so many games they could have won, man. Like, they lost in the last second by field goals.
They did do that a fair amount.
They did do that.
But I don't know. I think I have optimism in him, and maybe I need to move him up a couple spots. Tannehill might not be the right call. I think he could probably jump Tannehill.
There we go.
But so maybe I'll go to 23. But
there it is. I
don't know. I think Mac Jones takes a step forward this year. He's also got Devontae Parker now. I think Matt Ryan's going to have actually a pretty good year this year in Indianapolis. He's still a good quarterback. He just didn't have any weapons last year.
Matt Ryan, goat.
I got people like Jameis Winston, who if he's healthy, I'm excited to see what he can do in New Orleans.
Dude, he might air it out this year.
He might air it out too. So, like,
I had him at 17.
I'm at 18. I mean, same thing. So, like, I had just a bunch of guys like that. It was kind of like, I don't know. I guess Goff's kind of in the same. Like, if a lot of people do like positional tiers. I think Goff, if I'm doing tiers, he probably falls into a tier with a lot of those guys. Where it's like, decent upside, good weapons, second year in a system. We'll see.
Yeah.
So kind of in the same bucket as a lot of those guys. But yeah, I like the next guy on the list a little bit better. I like Trevor Lawrence this year. Second year, he's got a real head coach this time. Yes. He's got a former quarterback as a head coach. They've added weapons. They got Christian Kirk in there. ATN is back and healthy.
Loving Christian Kirk, but anyway,
I am pretty high on Christian Kirk this year.
Yes.
They got ATN back and healthy. So yeah, I think Trevor's going to take a big step forward. I really hope he is. I like him as a player.
Right.
I thought he was not good at all last year, but I also couldn't blame him for that. They had garbage team, and he got urbaned.
Leadership.
Yeah, he got urbaned, man. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really hope he does, because I loved him in college. I love what he was able to do. I mean, everyone's saying he's the first can't miss prospect since Andrew Luck going number 1. So it's just like, you want to see it. You always just hate to see where a talent is just kind of wasted. And so I don't get me wrong. I really hope he does do well. I want him to be better than 25. I just, again, on that kind of sliding scale in those tiers, yeah, he could be anywhere from 25 to 18. But then I'm looking at the names we just listed off, like the Matt Ryan, even like someone like a Baker Mayfield, which I know it's kind of a little contested. But Jameis Winston, Jared Goff in that conversation, like Goff at least and Winston have proven that they can do this and have that, potential for big upside. Especially I'm looking at Winston and at the Saints offense, they kind of reloaded, so they could be pretty dangerous. So I'm really hoping for Lawrence. It might take him another year to get there. I think he's going to take a step forward, but it's not going to be as big as we all hope, I think.
Yeah. I actually, I think he's got some rushing upside as well. He's got a lot of upside in general, where Goff doesn't have quite as much upside to me. We have seen Goff before, but we've also seen what he's capable of, and it's not typically top 20, In small spurts, he can be top 5 for the last 4 games of the season. Okay. That's great.
Hey, but if you're just winning week by week and you need him to fill in, take it.
Yeah, but no one's gonna. Yeah, if he hits the stride,
that's where, our rankings are right now. These are not our starting quarterbacks that we're
right
here.
That's true. That's true. I think. I also think there's not enough attention being given to Evan Ingram going down to Jacksonville, who I have shit on in the past, and in the Giants' offense, he never really seemed to make the splash you wanted him to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think definitely the better tight end than they had all of last year. And they've got, again, Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones is healthy. And I don't know. I like the moves they made. They also bolstered the offensive line to kind of protect him a little bit better. So I think he's in a much better situation with a quarterback as a head coach. I think there's as good of a chance as he's going to have right now. He's not like in the wasteland of Cleveland of years past.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
this
not
team
Tim
is
Couch.
better than that.
He's
It's
not
not
Tim
Tim
Couch.
Couch. Yeah, I agree.
Fair. All right. So looking at our quarterbacks, as we all know from last season, Kemper and I did a do it bet board where we would ride with two guys throughout the entire season and see, two guys from each position, and ride with them the entire season to see who would accumulate the most fantasy points by the end of the year. If last year, remember, my boy Matty Ryan won the quarterback battle against
the worst battle ever.
It was the worst battle ever.
There were weeks when our guys both had like 2.5 points or something crazy.
Less than 5 points. All right. So there are two quarterbacks in this grouping who we are going to use for our do it bet board this season. And it is Trevor Lawrence versus Jared Goff.
Do it. Trevor Lawrence, more points. Do it.
Jared Goff, do it.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Come on, sweetie. Do it. 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 Come on, do it. Seriously. Seriously. Do it. Do it. Do it.
So yes, we will be tracking these two all season since they kind of had the biggest disparity amongst our rankings. Again, obviously these are not you're going to be your starting quarterbacks per se. It's your hope they're not going to be. But again, with our rankings, these guys had the biggest disparity and where we had them. So we thought it'd be fun to kind of see what they did, man.
And listen, I don't think these are garbage quarterbacks either.
They're not.
This is not like not going to be exciting. I actually think there are going to be some weeks when these guys really ball out and we're going to be like, all right, there you go.
Like that's the thing. Like these guys have the ability to do it, and it's just going to be fun to see when they do it and who's going to be doing it better. So that's why we did it, and we're doing it.
Do it. Let's move on. Running backs. Let's go.
Running backs.
All right, you take the lead here. I'm tired of talking.
All right. So here are a lot more names. I mean, obviously, with quarterbacks, we only did top 25. Running backs, we went all the way to 50. So there was, a lot of different, thoughts behind it. So looking at the top, Kemper is not very high on one Saquon Barkley. And, we've talked about him in the past couple episodes, some reports coming out that he doesn't know how to play his position, and yet coming out that he's looked the best he ever has. And that's including his rookie year when he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, all that kind of stuff. So I am hoping for a relative bounce back for him. And again, I put him at 11. So that's kind of like a second round pickup for me, maybe even the beginning of the third. Maybe just depending on where
his second season, he was a top 3 draft pick.
Yeah, the past 3 years.
His second year, people were drafting him as 1.1.
Exactly.
In a lot of leagues.
And, obviously the injury and what he was battling with last year hurt him. So, I mean, 11 is definitely a big drop from 1, 2, and 3. But you obviously have him way lower. Why'd you put him that low?
So I have him at 19. And some of that's the inconsistency. Some of it's other options that I think are a little bit more consistent in general. He's also in a bucket with some other players I just happen to like more. Yeah. He's got the talent, man. He's got that breakaway speed, and he's got pretty good vision. He dances a little too much for me. And also, really, this is more of an indictment on the Giants in general. Although they've got a new coach and a new system and everything, and I'm hopeful that it works out for them. Like, they were a freaking dumpster fire last year, man. It was so bad. It's hard to get that image out of your mind. And it's hard. Like I drafted him last year at a discount last year because he was coming off an injury, and he still didn't perform. And that's not all on him, obviously, but I don't know. I'm just getting pessimistic that he's ever going to really return to form. And I'm going to invoke a name that I'm very concerned is going to be dooming him, but it kind of reminds me of Trent Richardson a little bit.
Oh, don't say it.
Where you thought this was an absolute slam dunk monster, and he turned out to fizzle. Now, I think
I'll disagree a tiny bit just because I feel like they were different players. Like Trent Richardson was more of in the Derrick Henry mold of, you just beat him down, just hitting that hole hard, and because he was a big body. And yeah, you're right. He had a great rookie year and then just kind of disappeared.
I mean, yeah, he was a high pick. He caught
a
lot of
number 3.
Yeah, he caught a lot of balls over the middle though too, just dump downs. So I mean, I think there was some similarity there, and man, he just faded away. And I don't think the same thing's gonna happen to Saquon necessarily, but because I can't get that out of my head, I've kind of hedged a little bit and said, if he's there at 19, I'll take him. If he can be like my flex or something, like, yeah, sure, I'll take a shot.
It's funny you say if he's there at 19, because I'm reading all these articles like Saquon Barkley's being drafted way too high. I'm like, so he ain't gonna be there as RB19.
Yeah,
but as you're saying, like, just the past few years have been brutal. This is literally his make or break year. Just for his career.
I do agree with that.
I mean, it's his contract year. You've had 2 years, obviously one being an injury and 2 last year with half injury, just half not being yourself. So he has to return to, I don't want to say an MVP form, but he has to show people like, no, I still belong here and I can still do it at a top 5 level. So that's why I'm slowly hesitant, or excuse me, I'm hesitantly positive about him, just because at least he got a new system. They tried to make some improvements with that offense, and it's also the pressure on Daniel Jones. So for the both of them to show out, they can prove a lot of people wrong. I have more faith in Saquon Barkley showing out than I do Daniel Jones, but I don't know. I'm hesitantly positive about him, but again, he's still my honorable mention out of the top 10.
That's true. On the other side of things, I'm pretty bullish on Javonte Williams this year.
You are very bullish.
And I know it's hard to be bullish on a quarterback and a running back in the same team, because especially if he's not like a pass catching running back. I just think this guy is an absolute monster. Yep. And I think he's going to be one of those where when Melvin finally steps out of the way, and Melvin ain't going away. So that's not this year. And that's why your rankings are down, but he's not going away this year, but I don't think it necessarily matters. I think they can both thrive. They can both be usable. I just think this guy is legit special. I thought it in college when we watched him, unfortunately, just barreling over our team
too much
when he was at Carolina. And so I think he's just waiting for his time to shine and waiting for Melvin to get out of the way, basically. And again, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I don't think it matters. I think last year he was like the 1B to Melvin's 1A. I think this year he's the 1A and Melvin's the 1B.
Sure.
And that's why I've got him ranked as high as I do.
So, and then using your own information kind of as a counterpoint for you, the reason why I didn't have him as high as you do is, if you're talking about Russ, he's going to want to be airing it out. You're paying him all this money. You gave up all this for him. You're going to want him to earn it, and that he's going to be throwing it. And again, just the only reason I also put him back is Melvin Gordon. As you said, he's not going anywhere. Javonte, I do agree. I think will be 1A to Melvin's 1B, but he's still there. He's still going to be snaking touchdowns. He's still going to be snaking some catches. So that's just why I had to drop Javonte a few spots back farther than you did. I still think he is Denver's future, 100%. And I think we were all kind of shocked that they re-signed Melvin in the offseason, because if they didn't, boom, he's a top 5 pick. But that's the only reason why I had him slide a little bit.
Yep. Well, I think because we all think he's a top 5 pick, talent-wise. I mean, I know what you're saying, like he would have been if he didn't have the competition.
Right.
But you also, not everybody who doesn't have competition is a top 5 guy.
Sure.
I think Javonte Williams is. And so, yeah, if you didn't have Melvin, he's top 5. You do have Melvin, he's 12. That's my thought.
He's 12. That's fair.
Here's a controversial one for us, Cam Akers. So this is, I think, probably just injury more than anything else, but it could also be opportunity. It could be a split backfield with Darrell Henderson. We don't know. But I've got him at 14. You've got him at 30. Mm-hmm. What the hell's wrong with you?
What the hell's wrong with you? I mean, I'm just looking at the Rams, and I still see a loaded offense that Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Allen Robinson, Tyler Higbee. I mean, I still think they'll probably get Odell halfway through the year. So I just see that's such a high octane offense. And as you mentioned, there's still splitting potential with Darrell Henderson. So, and the injury concern. I mean, just with all those things, I was just weighing on my mind with Cam Akers. He just kept falling for me. Just those big reasons.
For me, he came back. And so we saw, like I mentioned with Derrick Henry, he did come back. And so we saw his injury in play. He was not great, but at least ran the ball. He carried the load. They gave him 20 carries a game. Like he held
the ball.
He did hold up. And so I think that gave him confidence that his leg or foot or ankle or Achilles or whatever is going to be fine. The longer you are away from that injury, the better off you're going to be. He's still super young. I mean, the guy's only like 23, 24, something like that. He's young. I part of this, honestly, and this is how I evaluate a lot of these guys, is how I saw him in college. This guy was a freak in college. He was so freaking good on a really bad Florida State team. He was very good. And so I'm like, I think he's the real deal. It's not fair to just compare him to Dalvin Cook because they're both Florida State guys, but I don't know. I just see a lot of the same characteristics there. I think he's legit.
We don't talk about Dalvin.
We don't talk about Dalvin. There is an injury comparison there at least. So, but to your point, I'm going to use your point against you. If they're going to air it out as much as they are, that's going to lighten the load up front quite a bit. And so he's not going to see a stack box that often. I think he is a capable pass catcher. There's some conversation Sean McVay's having about, I want to even out the workload a little bit more and save my guys, whereas he's historically been like a Todd Gurley thumper, just go.
Right.
So that has me worried, and maybe I need to drop him a little bit from that. But I think he's a dynamic playmaker type. He's got a different speed that some other guys just don't have. And so I like the upside. And that's why I'm going in on him.
No, that's fair. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually surprised you had him higher than the next guy you have on our list here, AJ Dillon, because you are a big AJ Dillon guy. And again, don't get me wrong, I like him. It's just always not concerning. It's just always tough for me when there's that split backfield between him and Aaron Jones. And so that's why I have AJ Dillon a little bit later. I just like to favor at this point people who are legit 1As.
Workhorse. Yeah.
So that's, don't get me wrong. I think AJ Dillon is a beast, although he did technically screw me one time last year when I was down 30 something points and I had Aaron Jones, and it was Aaron Jones's 5 touchdown game. I needed 2 more points and they pulled Aaron Jones for AJ Dillon at the last 5 minutes, and I ended up losing by 2 points after
you should have been down by 35 in the first
staging a furious comeback.
That's right.
But so again, that's my biggest thing. Aaron Jones is still there. Aaron Jones is still going to be doing good things for Green Bay. You know, obviously the passing game is going to take a half step back with losing Devontae. So yeah, that's why I just dropped AJ. I know you love him, and that's why I was actually surprised you put him behind Cam.
So I have AJ at 18. You have him at 28. And I think everything you said is fair, but I don't think that it's fair to say you can't have 2 top 20 running backs. You know, we've seen it a lot of times. We saw it in Denver last year. We see it in Cleveland every year with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So I just think these guys are both like bona fide stars. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned this stat a few episodes ago, but with Devontae Adams leaving Green Bay, I think there's going to be a lot more receiving work for the running backs. And that's not just Aaron Jones. Now I'm real high on Aaron Jones too. I've got him, I think, at 11, but I think AJ Dillon, although he's massive and you wouldn't think he's a pass catcher, he's a really good pass catcher too. And so I think they're going to see both these guys. I think you might see them both on the field at sometimes. I think he's an absolute touchdown maker as well.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I'm in love with those thighs. I'm in love with those thighs.
You should love Saquon then too. Have you seen his legs?
I know, that's true.
His legs.
That's true.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's fair. Well, then if you kind of look, we kind of have the inverse on the next guy on this. We got Josh Jacobs. So you have him at 28. I have him at 17. Especially now with this Kenyon Drake news coming out, I'm liking where Josh Jacobs is, where I have him in the rankings.
Yeah,
I think that's just looking good. That he is clearly the guy, and
I'll probably bump him up a spot or two because of that, but I'm not taking him 10 spots higher. I don't have a lot of faith in him in general. I think he's an average back, capable. Okay. He's totally fine, but I think he's an average back. I got weirded out when he was starting the first preseason game, and you got a new coach in there who's like, everybody's fighting for their job kind of thing.
Everyone's open.
They draft Samir White, who I do like, out of Georgia. Now, granted, it was like 4th round, so it's not like a high draft pedigree, but I do think he's going to get his opportunities. And I think they're going to be more pass heavy. You know, I think they've got Devontae Adams in there now. They still got to feed Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. They're in such a loaded division as well. Like, they're going to have to find a way to compete with Kansas City, and it ain't going to be Josh Jacobs on the ground.
But didn't you just say with the Rams, when they're pass heavy, that opens it up for the running backs?
Sure, it does, but not if you're behind every game. Not if you're losing. You're not going to hand the ball off if you're down.
It's all going to be shootouts. It's going to be 52-48.
If you're down 14 in the first quarter already to Denver.
Did you see how resilient those Raiders were last year? And that was without a head coach for half the year. So
that's true. I think the Raiders would be a solid team. I really do.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not a Jacobs guy, to be honest. That's really what it is.
And honestly, it's funny. Like, I'm not a huge Jacobs guy either, but I
know opportunity's got to be there and it's got to matter, right? So that's how you rank them. It's based on opportunity and talent and all that.
It hit it on the head for me.
Yeah, just doesn't do it for me.
That's fair.
Real quick though, I will say we've got 2 other ones that are pretty disparate. I've got J.K. Dobbins. I like him this year at 22. You got him at 31. I got Kareem Hunt at 23. You got him at 34. I think Hunt, we talked about this with the 2-headed monster backfield. I think you're discounting how high he has been historically, even though Chubb is the workhorse.
You're right. I am.
And I think they're going to have to pass even more because they got Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And so I think he's their passing down back. They're going to have to run the ball more, you know.
I have underestimated what he has done in his time in Cleveland. I'm not gonna lie, and that's my fault and that's my bad. I don't know. I just never trusted him once he went there, just because Chubb is such the workhorse, and I love Nick Chubb, and that's why. And so I kind of just was always half rooting against Kareem Hunt. It's like, no, give it to my man Chubb. I love that guy. So you're right. I probably am undervaluing him here, but definitely the Browns are taking a step back this season, and I even had to bump my boy Nick Chubb down, which pained me to do so.
I know.
And I probably just did too much here on Kareem. But
what's crazy about these guys, like, it's really interesting. Nick Chubb, I'm always kind of down on because he doesn't catch any passes, but somehow, some way, it's like every single game he gets 80 yards and pretty much a touchdown, which is it's crazy to think that a pure runner can do that. But in the same vein, Kareem Hunt might only get 6 to 8 carries per game, but every single game
6 to 7 catches.
he'll get five catches for 60 yards, and he'll get a touchdown. I'm just like, it's wild. It's the only offense that operates that way. But these guys score very consistently, and they score 15 to 20 fantasy points very consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
It is. So it'll be interesting to see what Jimmy G does in there. So
that's right. Here's hoping, man. Here's hoping. That would be fun. All right. So Dobbins, I think the difference there is probably just how you feel he's going to bounce back from his injury. Yeah. I think he's got the talent. I think the job is his. I don't think Gus Edwards is ready to come back yet. I think probably won't be for a while.
Devontae Freeman's actually. It's
Freeman. They did draft Tyler Beatty, so we'll see. Maybe the rookie gets some run in the beginning, but I like Dobbins' talent.
All right, Kemp. So there are
do it here.
2 running backs here that we are adding to our Do It Bet board. Who's it gonna be?
I'm planting my flag on my boy AJ this year.
AJ, look at that big man on a little bike.
Big look at that bike, can't handle those thighs.
Then we got hungry Josh Jacobs over there with that Snickers chain. Oh yeah, watch out. He won the Hungry Award.
He's gonna have a lot of time to eat Snickers on the sideline when he's watching Zamir White run away with his job.
He's gonna be AJ will be warming up on the bike on the sidelines because Aaron Jones is just a horse. So watch out.
No, that's him. He's tired from carrying so many people on his back. He's just got to loosen his legs back up.
There it is on this teeny tiny bike. Actually, what you don't see in this picture is there's a little kid carrying all of his gear, which I just thought was kind of weird. I'm like, really? What? Yeah. That's fair.
Oh, that is funny. Okay, let's jump into receivers.
Yes.
Similar story to the running backs. We had 6 or 7 guys that we wanted to highlight this time around. We'll try and be a little bit quicker here because we're droning on and on.
Yes, let's go.
Some of these are pretty big names. So T. Higgins, I've got him 11. You've got him 19. DJ Moore, I've got him 13. You've got him 22. Allen Robinson, I've got him 21. You've got him 14. Let's talk about those 3 initially here because those are all top 20 guys for us, or 20-ish guys for us.
Mm-hmm.
I like Higgins. So this is similar to the Kareem Hunt argument. Honestly, you can have 2 receivers in the same field that are 100%. Top 10, top 15. And in fact, it happens almost every year. Now, it's hard to predict who that's going to be necessarily. But as we can see with Allen Robinson, you're doing the same thing. You're like, you sure can have 2 of them.
You sure can.
So why do you hate T. Higgins at 19? What's up with that?
It's funny. Like, I don't hate T. Higgins. I loved him last year with Jamar Chase. And actually, as I was making these rankings, I had your stupid little voice in my ear because if I'm looking at it, I put freaking Deontay Johnson, who I was not high on last year. I put freaking Michael Pittman in there. I was like, Kemper, stop. Just get your stupid voice out of my head.
It is hard to separate your own inner dialogue with the one you hear every day, just droning on about these players.
So gross. And actually, I'm looking down at my rankings. I don't know why I put Hollywood where I did because I don't like him. I don't.
You got him at 16.
I know that was way too high.
We ought to do Hollywood Brown versus T. Higgins and see what happens there.
I think I Will Ferrell during the debate and blacked out for a second.
Yeah, he must have.
Well, why is Hollywood there? It's already written in stone. So, I a little bit of your, but I put like AJ Brown. I see big things out of Mike Williams that are above him. We're going to talk about. I love Allen Robinson. I just think that's such a great fit in LA. Yeah, we've already talked about the Denver receivers, so I had Sutton. That was probably dumb to have both Sutton and Judy above them.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. So I don't know. There were just some guys there that I just think could be really big, and not to saying T. Higgins won't be. I just think they might be slightly better.
This kind of goes back to that whole tier and bucket conversation where there's several guys that are like capable of being top 10, and you feel that way about all the guys you just mentioned. Maybe not Hollywood, but all the guys you just mentioned.
Not Hollywood. That was
and Higgins just was the last one you listed on yours. I think he's I think he has proven himself more than some of the other options here, and some of those are going to new teams too. But I don't know. I think he's more of the PPR guy than Jamar Chase. Chase is the 4 for 90 and 2 touchdowns guy.
Yeah.
But he's consistent. Jamar is. I think T. Higgins is more of. I think he's going to just take more and more receptions from Tyler Boyd. They lost TJ Uzoma this year, and so like there's more options out there for him. I don't know. I think he's shown now a couple of years that he's a freak. He's unguardable. I was shocked when they took Jamar Chase because T. Higgins was so damn good.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it freed up coverage on him, and he's become, I think, even better. So
that's exactly my argument for Allen Robinson. So again, I mean, I see we can kind of flip that argument on that. So that's why I put him up there. DJ Moore is interesting just because, he is consistently a top 15 guy. He's shown it the past couple of years, 1,000 yards, like 7 to 8 touchdowns. My only question mark was, the quarterback position. I mean, when you're going down from Sam Darnold, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, he's got 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns with Sam Darnold and Cam Newton and PJ Walker. Like, I think he can do it with Baker Mayfield, Right. And to your point, he's almost always been the top 15 guy. He's a pretty healthy guy most of the time.
Yep.
He's a PPR monster. He's more similar this year to how I felt about Deontay Johnson last year, which is like this offense has got to go. It's got to go through Christian McCaffrey, but
right, that's the thing.
If you're in the receiving room, it's DJ Moore, and I don't feel good about Robbie Anderson at all. After he thrashed his quarterback. I haven't seen enough out of Terrace Marshall to feel great about him yet, and a tight end, nah. So, yeah, I think he's the guy, and I think Baker can get it done for him.
That's fair. That's right.
The other guy, kind of similar, Brandon Cooks, always finds a way to make it into the top 15. And I felt bad putting him at 18. You had him at 32.
I always hate him.
Hate.
I do. And I think it's just more of me just hating the Texans and just knowing that
but you love Joe Montana Jr.
Second best quarterback.
Montana. Yeah.
Second best rookie quarterback last year. So I don't know. The Texans are such a dumpster fire. I don't have faith in Lovie Smith. I don't have faith in that offense.
Fair.
Davis Mills is Davis Mills. I love him, but he's not their guy. I mean, he has to prove it this year. So maybe he
got Brandon Cooks the ball last year.
I was gonna say it could be the Mills and Cooks show this year, and it just could be mud on my face.
It most certainly will be.
If he's around at wide receiver 32, I guess I'll take him. I'll take him then.
I will tell you, he is the name this year that is the least sexy name in the draft.
100.
And when you get him, no one's going to say shit about it when you draft him, and you're just going to laugh your way to the bank because he's going to get you 15 to 20 points every single week.
Yeah.
Take him as your wide receiver 3 and feel like you've got that lockdown.
He is literally the least sexy pick.
Yeah. There's another couple names in here. So you mentioned Hollywood Brown. You're at 16 on him. I have him at 31. I think obviously he's got 6 games without DeAndre Hopkins. So I get why people are super high on him. And it is a weekly game. So for the first 6 weeks, he'd probably be a stud. Or at least he'll be good for you, usable for sure. And he had flashes last year of seemingly more consistent play. I got to see it first before I believe it.
Right.
I'm really high this year on Rashad Bateman.
I've
got him at 24. You've got him at 35. I'm not even sure 24 is high enough. I think he is also going to be a bit of a PPR monster. I know they don't pass a ton, and their first option is always going to be Mark Andrews. But I watched a few games last year with Bateman. The guy can run all the routes. He's quick. He's got great hands. I think he's really gonna take a step forward this year.
He could, and I loved him in college. I thought he was great, and for me, I always kind of feel bad when a great wide receiver goes to a team like Baltimore, just because historically,
or Tennessee, yeah, same thing.
Like, oh man, so that's honestly the reason why I'm not too high on him, just because of that offense and with Lamar Jackson and help Lamar. But counter to me, this is Lamar Jackson. He could be, he's not going into contract renegotiations once the season starts. So he could just be balling out, showing like, hey, I can also air this crap out.
Yep.
You need to pay me. And Rashad Bateman will be the biggest beneficiary of that. So it could be, once again, egg in my face. But
And Sammy Watkins is gone. Enough said.
Oh my gosh. That just opens everything up. He's taking everything away.
Speaking of Sammy Watkins, he's now in Green Bay with our next guy, Alan Lazard, who I've got at 30. You've got at 41. Honestly, I imagine this is just a matter of we don't know who the number one's going to be. Rodgers is saying it's Lazard, and he's got a connection with him. We have seen that before. And we know Aaron Rodgers is only going to throw to you if he thinks you're going to catch it.
Exactly.
So if you're dropping passes in the preseason, Romeo Dobbs looking your way. If you can't catch the ball, Marquez
Christian.
Valdez, Scantling, see you later. Like, he likes Lazard, and Lazard has good hands. That's enough for Rodgers.
True.
My opinion.
Again,
We'll
I'll
see what
take him
happens
up
with
first.
Christian Watson. We'll see. But
yeah. All right. So once again, 2 of these wide receivers are going on our do it bet board, and it is
let's go big time.
boom. T. Higgins and Allen Robinson.
I love this one. These are both number 2s, but they're going to play like number 1s. They're both studs.
Number 2s to big number 1s.
Yeah. The top 5, top 3, even number 1s. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. This is going to be a good one, I think, all year long.
Yeah. No, I like our do a bet board, man. These are some good matchups. I think they're all like even and really could even the playing field enough that even though we had them at a big disparity, they'll just be like right there.
Yep.
So that sound was coming right to the middle.
You're
Not
great with sound effects.
With whoop or whoop.
We don't even need sounders. You're the sounder.
I am
human sound effect.
Yep. Just like in Police Academy. I was that guy.
That's right.
So this is our do it bet board for the season. As we mentioned, we will be tracking them all year. So we'll be throwing this up as the season's going along, as our episodes are happening, just tracking their fantasy points and giving you an update and be seeing who will be in the doghouse and who will be winning. So
I love how you gave me pink. Like, I'll take it, man. Real men wear pink. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Why do you even have to call it out?
You're gonna do me like that,
man. They're just 2 colors.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about tight ends real quick because we had some disparity in tight ends. Not a ton, but there are also some names I think that at least worth mentioning. So I got Dawson Knox as a top 10. I've got him at 9. You've got him at 14. You've got Mike Gesicki at 9. I have him at 16. We could have done a do it bet with this. We're not do it betting with tight ends. That's garbage.
No.
But anyway, I think Knox, obviously a high octane offense. You got a quarterback who we know can get it done. I know they've got other options, and this is the Gabe Davis year. He's going to break out. Everyone's saying it. I like Isaiah McKenzie as well. James Cook is drafted, so they've got a running back that can catch the ball too. So there's a lot of mouths to feed up there. But
and OJ Howard, they got another tight end is there too. Yes, he is.
He is on the team. That's true. So is Jameson Crowder. But I would say Knox had a propensity for catching touchdowns last year. I think he's going to continue to do that. And the tight end space, that's a difference maker because there are like 5 PPR tight ends, and the rest are touchdown or bust. And for the most part. And so I think you're thinking that Mike Gesicki is a PPR tight end option.
Yes.
And he was for a while there when Brissett was at quarterback and when they didn't have Tyreek Hill.
Brissett, man. Like,
I know.
Trade him to Cleveland right now.
Right? So I thought that was kind of funny. Is that your whole rationale, is that he's a PPR guy? Yeah.
And just, again, I just like having him as a good great safety valve. And in the red zone, big target. So I like him.
Okay. Higbee, man, I've had him before a couple years now, and I've wanted that Rams tight end to do something, and it just hasn't really produced. He's a solid option. He's a decent player, but also more mouths to feed. I've got him at 22. You've got him at 16. That's sort of like when you get past the top 15 tight ends, you're kind of just guessing anyway. So I'm not gonna call you to the carpet on that one.
Although he did help one Sonya Trull win her championship.
T. Higbee. She got so mad at him. I think she actually might have dropped him by the end. Because she was always mad at him. T. Higbee, catch the damn ball, T. Higbee. It's really funny. She did accidentally drop Gronk in the middle of the season as well when he was like blowing up. But anyway, here's one that I think is kind of interesting. I've got Noah Fant at 11. You've got him at 22.
Get out of here, Noah Fant.
He actually had a really solid year last year. I don't think you maybe realize if you look through his game logs. He's going to Seattle with Drew Lock, so he's got his quarterback with him.
Got that connection.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, someone's got to catch the ball, right? They do have DK and Tyler Lockett, which I get, but I don't know that they're going to have enough time to throw it downfield to those guys. I think Fant is a good athlete. I don't know. Maybe this is a total dart throw, but I like Noah Fant. I think he'll be all right.
You know what? Take him.
We both have 3 guys that the other guy didn't even rank. This is how tight ends,
man.
This turns into the wasteland. So I've got David Njoku in Cleveland only because Brissett is quarterback. And so I'm kind of like, maybe he just loves tight ends.
He loves tight ends.
Maybe see something out of Njoku. I like Evan Ingram in Jacksonville. I talked about him earlier. I think it's a really good fit for him, and Trevor can get him the ball. And I've got Logan Thomas at 21. I have those guys at 19, 20, and 21. Logan Thomas coming back from an injury in Washington. Really solid option for them as well.
Yeah.
You've got ranked instead.
Old Bobby Tunyon, man.
Yep.
Hey, Green Bay, you talk about.
To your point, somebody's got to catch the ball, right?
Someone's got to catch the ball there.
That's
Why not
fair.
go to someone who's won consistency? So, old Bobby. Your boy. Well, no, he wasn't your boy.
He's not
you
my
did
boy.
kind of like CJ a little bit.
When he was in Cincinnati, he was fine. He's one of the Jets now.
One of the Jets. Again,
they're
I
not
just
gonna get him
young
the ball.
quarterbacks, safety valve, put him at 23, get him there.
Yep.
Super Bowl runner-up, CJ Zoma. So just saying.
Fair.
Got that pedigree. And then Cameron Brate, Gronk's gone. Someone's got to catch the ball at the tight end spot. So
Gronk is not gone. I ranked him 25th with a question mark. YOLO, let's go. If I get 6 games out of Gronk, he could easily finish as the 25th tight end.
100%. 100%. You're right.
That's how it goes. All right.
Fair.
Let's blast through on campus. What do you say?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
On campus. Where's your on campus? Let's do it. Okay. To finish the show, we have got, I'm not going to put these in order, so you're not going to know. Same as you did me, all right? Just in general, we've got wide receiver, South Florida. Wide receiver, USC. Running back, USC. Running back, LSU. I know I've got you on this one.
Running back, USC and LSU. Wide receiver, South Florida and USC.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a wide receiver, Georgia.
I need to write this down real quick. Okay. Wide receiver, USC and USF. And then running backs, LSU and USC. Holy cats. Man, I am not confident with this at all. I'm just going to throw a dart, and I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons.
That is incorrect, sir. What if I give you tight end Cincinnati? What if I give you quarterback Texas Tech?
Wow. That's freaking Kansas City?
This is the retooled Kansas City Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is LSU.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones is USC.
I didn't know Ronald Jones was USC.
Juju Smith-Schuster is USC. South Florida's Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, okay.
Who spent 2 years at NC State before he transferred.
Jesus.
And Mecole Hardman's Georgia. Travis Kelce, Cincinnati. Yep.
Wow. Okay, you got me.
Gotcha. I knew it. I knew I'd get one.
That is a tough one. That's a
that is a tough one. That was a brutal one.
I was throwing out Atlanta because like, all right, USC maybe like Drake London. All right.
True.
Like, I don't even know who their wide receiver 2 is. So I'm like, maybe that's USF. Sure.
Kyle Pitts. Yeah.
So, okay. That's fair. Well done. You got me.
Got him.
Got me. I'll remember this. I'm just going to do a Canadian football team.
Yeah.
You get the Argonauts? Come on.
Argonauts. Come on.
Oh, man. All right. So we just went through all of our rankings, all the quarterbacks, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. Holy cow. No kickers or defenses. Get out of here with that. Kemper did just get me with some on campus. And so next we are going to, the season's counting down, man. It is getting close. So we're going to be starting to do some mock drafts. We're going to try and do some live on the air. So again, if you're interested, let us know. Join us. We would love to be able to do it with you online and do it live so we can kind of get it real time with real people as opposed to just, simulating with the computer. So yeah, lots more to come and we are pumped for it. We got our Do It Bet board going.
Do it.
But hey, until next time, just remember, keep on folding.
Fold it.